Listen up. I need you to hear me right now because this is important. You ever wonder why life feels like a constant battle? Why every time you take a step forward, something tries to knock you 2 steps back? Why doors seem to slam in your face the moment you start making progress? It's because the devil don't waste his time on people who ain't going nowhere. See, if you weren't a threat, if you didn't have greatness inside of you, if you weren't built for something bigger, the enemy wouldn't even bother with you. The devil don't attack people who are sitting still. He comes for the ones who are pushing, grinding, fighting for something greater. You feel that pressure, that resistance? That's because you're on the right path. That's because you're stepping into your purpose. And the moment you start chasing your calling, the moment you decide, I will be better, I will be stronger, I will be greater, boom, here comes the attack, the struggles, the pain, the doubt. They're all designed to break you. But hear me when I say this. They can't break you unless you let them. You ever notice how the closer you get to something big, the harder it gets? The moment you start improving, here come the distractions. The moment you start believing in yourself, here come the haters. The moment you start walking in your purpose, here comes fear, anxiety, obstacles out of nowhere. Why? Because the devil sees what's inside you. He knows the power you have. He knows if you ever wake up to your full potential, if you ever refuse to quit, if you ever decide you won't be stopped, oh, it's over for him. So what do? You fight, you stand your ground, you push through, you pray harder, you work harder, you keep going even when it hurts, even when you're tired, even when it feels impossible. Because listen to me, the attack is not a sign you're losing, it's a sign you're winning. It's proof that you are on the verge of something great. So don't back down, don't break, and whatever you do, don't quit. Because the only way the devil wins is if you stop fighting. And I know you ain't about to let that happen. Now go handle business. The devil only attacks those who are destined for greatness. Think about that for a moment. If you weren't a threat, if you weren't valuable, if there wasn't something powerful inside of you, why would he even bother? The enemy doesn't waste time on people who aren't going anywhere. He doesn't invest energy in people who have no purpose, no potential, no impact. He focuses on the ones who have the power to change things, the ones who carry light, the ones who have the ability to rise above their circumstances and make a difference. You ever notice how some people just seem to float through life? No real struggles, no major obstacles, no serious attacks. It's not because they're lucky. It's not because life is unfair. It's because they aren't a threat. They aren't disrupting anything. They aren't breaking generational curses. They aren't stepping into new levels. They aren't shifting the atmosphere around them. They're just existing, just going through the motions. And as long as you're stagnant, as long as you're not moving forward, as long as you're staying in the same place, the enemy doesn't have a reason to come after you. But the moment you decide that enough is enough, the moment you say, I'm not settling anymore, the moment you take that first real step toward your destiny, that's when the attack comes. That's when everything starts going wrong. That's when you start facing resistance. That's when doors that were supposed to open suddenly slam shut. That's when people you trusted start betraying you. That's when fear creeps in, when doubt starts whispering in your ear, when anxiety wraps itself around you like a chain. Because the enemy knows what happens if you break through. He knows what happens if you tap into the power inside of you. He knows what happens if you refuse to give up. And so he throws everything at you, distractions, disappointments, discouragement, because his goal is to stop you before you even start. He wants to break you before you build. He wants to shake you before you step into your calling. Look at the people who have done something great in this world, the ones who changed history, the ones who built empires, the ones who refused to back down. None of them had an easy road. None of them walked a smooth path. They were tested. They were attacked. They were betrayed, lied on, knocked down. But they understood something that most people miss. Opposition is a sign that you are on the verge of something greater. The attack is confirmation. It's proof that you are valuable. proof that there is something inside of you that the enemy is afraid of. Proof that you are a threat to darkness. And the only reason you are being fought so hard is because the devil knows that if you ever fully step into your purpose, you will be unstoppable. If you ever stop listening to fear, if you ever stop doubting yourself, if you ever decide that quitting is not an option, there is nothing he can do to stop you. This is why some of the most gifted people go through the worst battles. The ones with the biggest callings face the biggest struggles. The ones with the most potential go through the deepest pain, because the enemy isn't attacking where you are. He's attacking where you're going. He's not trying to stop you because of your past. He's trying to block you from your future. He sees the impact you're about to make. He sees the people you're about to inspire. He sees the legacy you're about to build. And so he comes at you with everything he's got, hoping you'll break before you bloom. That's why life feels so hard sometimes. That's why it seems like every time you take one step forward, you get pushed 2 steps back. That's why you feel like no matter how hard you try, something is always standing in your way, because the level of attack is equal to the level of anointing. The bigger the purpose, the bigger the pressure, the higher the calling, the harder the fight. The enemy wouldn't be coming at you this strong if he wasn't terrified of what you are capable of. So when you feel like you're under attack, when you feel like everything is coming against you, when you feel like the weight of the world is on your shoulders, understand this: it's because you matter. It's because your voice matters. Your presence matters. Your work matters. It's because you are chosen. You have something inside of you that the world needs. You have something inside of you that is meant to shift things, to change lives, to break barriers. And that's why the devil is attacking you. Struggles and obstacles are proof you're on the right path. Most people see challenges as a sign that something is wrong. They assume that if they were really meant to do something, it would be easy, doors would just open, and everything would fall into place without resistance. But that's not how it works. The reality is, the greater the mission, the greater the opposition, the more valuable the destination, the harder the journey. Anything worth having requires a fight. Anything worth achieving will test you before it rewards you. The moment you decide to step into a higher level, struggles begin to appear. It's not a coincidence. The world has a way of challenging those who dare to rise. If you decide to stay the same, to never push yourself, to never grow, to never take risks, you'll find that life is comfortable. It may not be fulfilling, but it's easy. But the second you decide to do more, be more, and achieve more, suddenly everything seems to push back against you. That's not a mistake. That's confirmation. Struggles don't come to people who aren't moving forward. If you're sitting still, if you're stuck in the same habits, the same mindset, the same environment, life won't challenge you. You'll stay in the same routine, the same patterns, the same predictable cycles. You won't feel resistance because you aren't disrupting anything. You aren't threatening anything. You aren't pushing the limits of your potential. But when you start growing, when you start moving towards something bigger, that's when the challenges show up. Think about a plane taking off. It doesn't face resistance when it's sitting on the runway. It doesn't feel the push of the wind when it's still on the ground. But the moment it starts accelerating, the moment it begins to lift off, that's when the resistance comes. That's when the force of the wind pushes against it. But that same resistance is what helps it rise. The struggle is part of the process. The resistance isn't there to stop you. It's there to strengthen you. Most people quit when they face their first real struggle. They assume that the difficulty means they're not supposed to continue. They take obstacles as a sign to turn back instead of seeing them as confirmation that they're on the right track. But what if the struggle isn't a sign to stop? What if it's a sign that you're getting closer? What if every time you push through, you're one step closer to the breakthrough you've been waiting for? People talk about pressure like it's a bad thing, but pressure creates diamonds. Without pressure, coal stays coal. Without struggle, potential stays potential. Growth doesn't happen in comfort. Strength isn't built in ease. Every challenge, every setback, every obstacle is shaping you, refining you, preparing you for what's ahead. The process may be painful, but the result is worth it. Look at history. The greatest leaders, the most successful people, the strongest warriors, they all faced struggles. They all went through battles. They all had moments where it looked like they wouldn't make it, but they kept going. They understood that struggle wasn't a sign to quit. It was proof that they were on the path to something greater. They knew that the obstacle in front of them wasn't there to stop them. It was there to reveal their strength. Imagine a seed underground. Before it ever breaks through the surface, before it ever sees the sun, it has to struggle. It has to push through dirt. It has to fight through resistance. It has to keep growing, even when it's buried. But that struggle is what makes it strong enough to survive when it finally reaches the light. Without that struggle, it wouldn't have the strength to stand. It's the same for you. The struggles you're facing aren't there to destroy you. They're there to develop you. They're there to test your commitment, to refine your mindset, to force you to. The people who succeed in life aren't the ones who had an easy road. They're the ones who faced obstacles and refused to let those obstacles stop them. They're the ones who fell down but got back up. The ones who kept moving even when everything in them wanted to quit. You have to shift the way you see your struggles. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Ask, what is this teaching me? Instead of saying, this is too hard, say, this is making me stronger. Instead of backing down, rise up. The struggle is proof that you're moving in the right direction. The obstacle is evidence that you're on the verge of something greater. The pressure is a sign that you are being shaped into the person you were meant to become. Distractions and doubt increase the closer you get to your breakthrough. It's not random. It's not just bad luck. The moment you get serious about your goals, the moment you decide to break old cycles, the moment you start walking in your purpose, distractions show up. Doubt creeps in. Fear gets louder. People who never had an opinion about your life suddenly have something to say. Situations that never seemed to be a problem before suddenly demand your attention. The closer you get to a breakthrough, the more the world tries to pull you away from it. It happens because breakthroughs require focus. They require determination. They require a level of commitment that most people aren't willing to maintain. And so right when you're on the verge of something great, distractions come disguised as opportunities. Doubt comes dressed up as logic. People start questioning your choices. Your own mind starts feeding you excuses. You suddenly remember all the reasons you used to stay comfortable, all the reasons you were afraid to step forward in the first place. And if you aren't careful, you'll start believing the distractions. You'll start thinking the doubt is truth. You'll start slowing down, hesitating, second guessing yourself. And before you know it, you've lost momentum. This is why so many people never reach their next level. It's not because they aren't capable. It's not because they don't have what it takes. It's because they let the distractions win. They let the doubt take over. They let the noise drown out their purpose. But the ones who break through, the ones who actually reach their potential, they understand the game. They know that distractions are just illusions. They know that doubt is just fear in disguise. They know that right before something incredible happens, life tries to make them turn back. You have to recognize the pattern. Every time you set a new goal, every time you make a serious commitment, every time you start stepping into a new level, distractions will come. It might be people who suddenly need your time and energy. It might be old habits that try to creep back in. It might be thoughts that tell you you're not good enough, not ready, not capable. It might even be unexpected challenges that make you question whether this path is really for you. Think about how many times you've started something with passion, with excitement, with drive, only to slow down when distractions hit. You were focused, you were making progress, and then life threw something at you and suddenly you lost your rhythm. It could have been stress. It could have been negativity from people around you. It could have been your own self-doubt whispering that maybe you were aiming too high. And instead of pushing through, you hesitated. You started overthinking. You started procrastinating. And before you knew it, you had talked yourself out of the very thing you were meant to do. This is why discipline is more important than motivation. Motivation is easy at the beginning. It's exciting to start something new. It feels good to chase a dream, but when distractions come, when doubt creeps in, motivation won't be enough. You need discipline. You need the ability to stay locked in even when everything around you is trying to pull you away. You need to be so focused that nothing can shake you. Look at the most successful people in the world. They didn't get there by avoiding distractions. They got there by overcoming them. They had people doubting them. They had moments of fear. They had days when they wanted to quit, but they kept going. They knew that distractions are part of the journey. They knew that doubt is just noise. They knew that the closer they got to success, the more resistance they would face. It's the same for you. If you feel like distractions are increasing, if you feel like doubt is getting louder, if you feel like everything is trying to pull you away from your purpose, that's not a sign to stop. That's a sign that you're close. That's a sign that your breakthrough is near. That's a sign that you're on the edge of something life-changing. The enemy fears your full potential. Don't let him win. From the moment you were born, there was something inside of you that made you different. You weren't just meant to exist, to get by, to survive. You were built to lead, to create, to inspire, to break barriers. You were made for something greater, and that's exactly why the enemy works so hard to keep you from realizing it. He doesn't come after people who don't matter. He doesn't waste time on people who aren't a threat. He only attacks those who have something valuable inside them. Think about it. Every time you've tried to rise above your situation, something has tried to pull you back down. Every time you've tried to break free from old habits, old mindsets, old patterns, something has tried to keep you stuck. That's not an accident. That's not just life being unfair. That's the enemy recognizing your power and doing everything he can to make sure you never step into it. Because once you do, he knows he can't stop you. Once you tap into your full potential, once you embrace the greatness inside you, once you decide that nothing will hold you back, the game changes. This is why so many people never reach their full potential. It's not because they aren't capable. It's not because they don't have what it takes. It's because they believe the lies. They believe the fear. They believe the doubt. The enemy doesn't have to physically stop you. He just has to convince you to stop yourself. If he can make you doubt your abilities, if he can make you second guess your worth, if he can fill your mind with fear and insecurity, he doesn't have to do anything else, because once you start believing those things, you'll sabotage yourself. You'll shrink, you'll settle, you'll hold back instead of stepping forward. You have to understand that every challenge, every obstacle, every setback is designed to make you question yourself. It's designed to make you feel small. It's designed to make you forget who you are and what you're capable of. The enemy knows that the only way to stop you is to convince you that you aren't strong enough, smart enough, talented enough, or worthy enough to succeed. But that's a lie. If you weren't powerful, if you weren't capable, if you weren't destined for something greater, you wouldn't be under attack in the first place. Look at your life. Look at all the moments where you wanted to give up but didn't. Look at all the battles you've already fought and won. Look at how many times you've been knocked down but got back up. That wasn't by accident. That wasn't luck. That was strength. That was resilience. That was proof that you are built for more. The fact that you're still standing despite everything that was meant to break you should tell you everything you need to know about who you are. The enemy fears what will happen if you ever fully embrace your power. He fears what will happen if you stop playing small, if you stop letting fear control you, if you stop allowing doubt to dictate your decisions. He fears what will happen if you start believing in yourself the way you were always meant to. Because the moment you do, you become unstoppable. The moment you do, you step into a version of yourself that no obstacle, no setback, no distraction can defeat. The moment you do, you take control of your life in a way that no outside force can shake. This is why you have to fight, not just against the external challenges, but against the internal ones. Against the voices that tell you you're not enough, against the fear that tries to keep you from taking risks, against the doubt that creeps in when things don't go as planned. You have to fight for your future, for your dreams, for your purpose, because if you don't, the enemy wins, and you were never meant to lose. Endurance and resilience are your greatest weapons. Life will test you. It will push you to your limits. It will put obstacles in your path that make you question whether you have what it takes. But the people who make it, the people who rise above their circumstances, the people who walk in their purpose aren't the ones who never face challenges. They're the ones who refused to break. They're the ones who kept pushing forward even when everything in them wanted to quit. Most people think success is about talent, about intelligence, about luck. But the truth is, success is about endurance. It's about resilience. It's about having the ability to take hit after hit and still keep going. It's about being able to keep moving forward when the weight of life is trying to hold you down. It's about being knocked down 10 times and getting up 11. The people who win aren't always the smartest. They aren't always the most talented, but they are the ones who refuse to give up. You've seen it before. People start something with passion, with excitement, with fire. But the moment things get hard, the moment they face resistance, they start second guessing themselves. They start looking for a way out. They convince themselves that maybe it wasn't meant for them. Maybe the timing isn't right. Maybe they're not good enough. And so they stop, they walk away, they settle for less. And the sad part is they were probably just a few steps away from their breakthrough. They were probably closer than they realized. But because they didn't have endurance, because they didn't have resilience, they never got to see what was on the other side. This is why so many people live with regret. Not because they weren't capable of more, but because they gave up too soon. They let temporary pain stop them from reaching permanent success. They let a hard season convince them that their dream wasn't worth fighting for. They let obstacles define them instead of using those obstacles to make them stronger. The truth is, life is going to test you. It's going to see what you're really made of. It's going to put you in situations where you have to choose. Are you going to keep going or are you going to quit? Are you going to push through the struggle or are you going to let it break you? Because every challenge, every setback, every disappointment is a question. And how you respond determines your future. Most people want results without resistance. They want the success without the struggle. They want the reward without the work. But that's not how life works. Nothing worth having comes easy. Every person who has ever accomplished something great had to go through something to get there. They had to face obstacles. They had to deal with setbacks. They had moments of doubt, moments of fear, moments where they wanted to give up, but they didn't. They endured. They kept pushing. They kept showing up. You have to make a decision. Are you going to be the kind of person who gives up when things get hard? Are you going to be the kind of person who keeps fighting no matter what? Because the truth is, endurance is a choice. Resilience is a decision. You don't wake up one day with an unbreakable mindset. You build it. You build it by going through struggles and refusing to let them defeat you. You build it by facing adversity and deciding that you won't let it stop you. You build it by getting up every single time life knocks you down. It doesn't matter how many times you fall. It doesn't matter how many times you fail. What matters is that you don't stay down. What matters is that you keep moving forward, because the people who win in life aren't the ones who had an easy road. They're the ones who refuse to quit. Pain is part of the process, but it's not the end. Too many people think that the moment they feel pain, something is wrong. They think that if it hurts, if it's uncomfortable, if it's stretching them beyond their limits, then maybe they're not supposed to be doing it. But that's not true. Growth doesn't happen without pain. Strength isn't built without struggle. Every time you push yourself past your limits, every time you refuse to quit, even when it hurts, you are getting stronger. You are becoming the person you were meant to be. Pain is not the enemy. Quitting is. Pain is not what stops people from succeeding. It's their response to pain that determines their future, because everyone experiences pain. Everyone experiences failure. Everyone goes through seasons where nothing seems to be working. But the people who make it, the people who rise above, the people who walk into their purpose, they're the ones who refuse to let pain break them. They feel it, they acknowledge it, but they don't let it define them. they don't let it stop them from moving forward. Most people spend their whole lives running from pain. They avoid challenges, they avoid discomfort, they avoid anything that forces them to grow because growth is uncomfortable. But what they don't realize is that by running from pain, they're also running from their destiny. They're running from the very thing that could make them stronger. They're running from the fire that was meant to refine them. Look at the people who inspire you. Look at the people who have accomplished great things. None of them got there without pain. None of them got there without struggle. They had moments where they wanted to give up. They had moments where they questioned everything. They had moments where they didn't know if they had the strength to keep going, but they did. And that's why they made it. You have to stop seeing pain as a stop sign. You have to stop seeing struggle as a reason to turn back. Pain is not a signal to quit. It's a sign that you're growing. It's a sign that you're breaking through barriers. It's a sign that you're stepping into something greater. If you never feel pain, you're not pushing yourself hard enough. If you never feel discomfort, you're staying in the same place. Think about an athlete training for a championship. Do they stop when it hurts? Do they stop when their muscles ache, when they're exhausted, when they feel like they have nothing left? No, they push through. They embrace the pain because they know that pain is part of the process. They know that pain is the price of greatness. They know that the discomfort they feel today is making them stronger for tomorrow. It's the same in life. The pain you feel today is shaping you. The struggles you're going through are preparing you. The challenges you're facing are building something inside you that comfort never could. You don't get stronger by avoiding pain. You get stronger by facing it head on. You get stronger by deciding that no matter how hard it gets, no matter how much it hurts, you will not quit. Most people quit when they're in pain because they think it's always going to feel this way. They think the struggle will never end, but that's not true. Pain is temporary. Struggles don't last forever. The storm you're in right now will pass. The difficulty you're facing will not be permanent. But if you quit in the middle of it, you'll never see what was on the other side. If you stop now, you'll never get to experience the reward that comes from enduring the process. You have to remind yourself that pain is part of the journey. Every great success story includes moments of pain. Every great leader has gone through seasons of struggle. Every champion has had to fight through adversity. You are no different. If you want to reach your full potential, if you want to walk in your purpose, if you want to live the life you were meant to live, you have to be willing to endure the pain. You have to be willing to go through the process. You have to be willing to keep moving forward even when it hurts. Because the truth is, pain is temporary, but quitting lasts forever. If you push through, if you refuse to give up, if you keep going no matter what, you will look back one day and realize that every bit of pain you endured was worth it.